All right, hello everyone. We're back again, finally, with another of my Pokemon Battle Redux videos. Uh, this season, I'm not participating. I am just spectating and doing a little bit of coaching. Um, and this battle is actually going to have that mentioned. Both of these players have talked to me at various points in the season about how to improve their team. You'll recognize here Gamer Magic from the previous video. You can certainly see the Sandaconda and the Roserade that were present in the other battles that I showed off last time. And on the other side of the field here we have Gogs, who is relatively new to competitive Pokemon. So they've gotten actually a lot of help from most people in the league trying to help optimize their team and just figure out how to use the tools they have. Now, like last time, I am going to just watch these videos quickly to start off with and just give you my immediate reactions as the battle goes through. And then once the battle is done, go through a little bit more analysis. Now, I should say before we go even into the battle itself, do a small review of what's being shown off here. So on Gamer Magic's side, I mentioned you see the Sandaconda and the Roserade from earlier. And I think those are two relatively good choices here. Roserade's Grass helps against Quagsire and Poison helps against Togekiss, while Sandaconda puts a good threat on Dragalge. And we've seen Sandaconda have actually a wider range of other things it can do. Otherwise, Gamer Magic has really cycled through their team a bit for this battle versus the last one we saw. We've got Incineroar here, great utility Pokemon, and actually does a fair amount of threat against half of the team that Gog was showing here, just with its dark moves threatening Dusclops, Bronzong, and Decidueye. Mamoswine, one of my personal favorites, just hits hard with strong ice and ground moves. And depending on what you want to do, you can make it do other stuff. It can be your Stealth Rock setter. It can, have superpower. It can even do some rock moves, I think. Sylveon's thrown in. I forget exactly what all else Gogs had on their team. Sylveon seems like an interesting choice right now because Bronzong and Dragalge are there. But then we also have Metagross here at the end. Just another thing that hits hard will be great against Togekiss and Dragalge. And even though it's weak to Decidueye's Ghost-type moves, it can probably hit hard back as well. Now, Gogs here, their team, of the 10 Pokemon that they drafted, these 6 are the ones they've focused on. Like, as I mentioned earlier, they've had a lot of help from people in the league trying to get advice on how to play. This team is the team that they have, again, focused on and gotten advice from other people in the league on how to better use these 6. Some of the other Pokemon that Gogs has drafted, let me pull it out here one moment. Where is, okay, here. Gogs had Dracozolt, Gengar, Hatterene, and Golurk. So Dracozolt, Gengar, and Golurk can all hit pretty hard, and Hatterene also can with the right sets, although Hatterene also has a bunch of utility stuff going on as well. But they've gone for a more sort of defensive playstyle, and again, a lot of people have tried to help get this playstyle optimized and figure out exactly which items to use on which Pokemon and what movesets. So for this battle, I'm honestly probably going to not go too deep in, depending on how the battles go, and just give some quick advice. Again, try to act as maybe an audience surrogate here for someone who is getting into competitive Pokemon. All right, with that all said, let's get started and do a watch through of this first battle. All right, what do we got here? Mamoswine versus Togekiss. Screens are coming up. Instantly down to an Icicle Crash. And rocks are up as well, so that's interesting. Earthquake. All right, yeah. Even with light screen up, that 4 times weakness is gonna hurt. Oh, Zen Headbutt. That I was not expecting that to kill. I was expecting that to kill, and it didn't. But Alright, yeah, okay, it's quite interesting. Obviously, some earlier misjudged. Oh, that was misjudged as well. I don't expect that from Gamer Magic. Um, so there's a lot of interesting plays going on in this battle. Probably some of it's just miscalculations here, and some of it's definitely things that can be improved. All right, and here's well, all right, and yeah, so it hits there. Ooh, okay. Interesting back and forth there. Again, I thought Metagross could do okay against the Decidueye, and it did, but it didn't survive, obviously. And there's the battle. Okay. So, yeah, let's go back now to the beginning and start piecing apart what we saw. Alright, we'll go through normally here. So, on this thing, if I had picked, I probably would have used either Incineroar or Sandaconda first on Gamer's side. And on Gog's side, maybe, it depends on what they had on their team. If any of their Pokemon were set Stealth Rocks, that would be a good thing to put up first. Or if anything gave Poison out with Toxic, that would also be good. But as we saw, they led with Togekiss, and that's one thing they've been wanting to do a lot, especially early on in this tournament. I should say that these battles were early on in the tournament. I am very far behind in these reviews. So Gogs leads off with a Light Screen, which is, on this situation, definitely not a good play because Mamoswine is a physical attacker. And it has the super effective. So you don't want to get that Icicle Crash coming in. But Gogs likes, at least early on, liked using this Togekiss as a screen setter, which isn't necessarily the most optimal thing for Togekiss. I know I gave them the advice. Well, I shouldn't say it's not optimal for Togekiss. It certainly can work. But I personally like using screens more when your other Pokemon are trying to set something up. And Gogs here doesn't have anything that uses setup, whether it's, actual setup sweeping, whether it's putting a substitute up, whether it's spreading status. Gogs doesn't really have that on their team, so using screens is not a great strategy in general with the team that's showing right now. And again, this is very early in the league. So then what we saw in this first turn, though, is instead of using Icicle Crash, Gamer Magic used Stealth Rock, which honestly is probably a pretty good move. Now, Togekiss could have gotten a Reflect up this first turn, and then that would have made this a lot more difficult. So the Light Screen was, again, most certainly a misplay here. But Gamer Magic saw the opportunity to hopefully get a Stealth Rock in, because Icicle Crash could, in theory, do a ton of damage even if Reflect went up. And they probably were anticipating a swap of some sort, because Bronzong could have tanked an Icicle Crash really easily, so it was an opportunity to get Stealth Rock up. That's not what happened. Togekiss stays in. And then, interestingly, we've got a speed tie here, and yes, that actually makes complete sense. So a little bit unlucky on Gog's side to not be able to get the Reflect off before the Icicle Crash happened. So that's just unlucky. And here we see already now that Mamoswine had a Life Orb on it, which is a great set for Mamoswine to have, by the way. And actually, we now need to go back here. So we had this. Icicle Crash comes in, kills Togekiss, and Gogs comes out with Quagsire, which is a good thought. Because it's going to be taking neutral hits from Mamoswine. Again, I probably would have sent out Bronzong. Now, of course, I say that. Usually, I like putting Levitate on Bronzong. Gogs has preferred using Heat Proof, being scared of Fire-type moves. Again, I personally think Immunity to Ground is better than lessening Fire, because you still take damage with the Fire. So I think that would have been the better swap, but Bronzong, unless it's carrying Iron Head, doesn't have a super effective attack, and Bronzong isn't generally the most defensive Pokemon. Now, if I recall correctly, we saw later in the battle that it indeed does have Iron Head. So again, I think that would have been the better swap than Quagsire, But Quagsire is definitely not bad, especially because Scald has the chance to burn Mamoswine and greatly reduce its attacking power. So, okay move. Definitely not the one I would have done, but definitely not bad. Now, Quagsire comes in with Earthquake. That I wouldn't necessarily have used, because he should have been anticipating the swap to Roserade, and to be fair, the Earthquake hits Roserade neutrally and Scald doesn't. So that's not bad. But I would have used Scald to have tried to either highly damage Mamoswine and maybe burn it, or whatever else might have been switching in could have also worked out pretty well. I think actually Roserade would have been the only switch in that didn't. Well, Sylveon wouldn't have worried about Scald much either. And Earthquake is a nicely spammable move. So again, not the move I would have done, but not awful. Now at this point, we've got a 4 times effective attack threatening Quagsire. I would have absolutely switched into Dragalge here. Dragalge not only quadruple resist grass, but it will resist poison and it has a high special defense. Gogs does not, and even with the light screen, Giga Drain just destroys Quagsire because Roserade has an amazing special attack score. Here finally comes Bronzong. We get a little bit of Toxic Spikes. And again, now here's a play where I think Gamer Magic didn't do the best thing because Dragalge is still sitting there. It's going to pick up that Toxic Spikes whenever it comes out. Okay, it was Zen Headbutt, it wasn't Iron Head. Okay, so I don't know if Bronzong had Iron Head. And now, so, let's get that through. So now the knockoff has come in. Actually, I guess if you're anticipating knockoff, all he has left are things that are weak to dark, and then something that's not very physically strong. So that's actually fine. Getting the Earthquake in here is actually probably the best thing they had, or Gods had to do in that turn. But here he does the swap, and he swaps to Dusclops, which does not want to get knocked off, does not want to get poisoned. And Gamer Magic used Drain Punch, which also kind of confused me. I'm not sure. Drain Punch sure hits Bronzong neutrally, but Bronzong only had 16% health, so if you're trying to get that health recovery, it wouldn't have helped that much. Again, because there was so much it doesn't want to get knockoff here with what's left, I'm surprised that Incineroar did not use knockoff again. Here it comes in. Dusclops doesn't die because it's bulky from the Eviolite, but now it's lost the Eviolite. And of course, again, it's poisoned already. It's going to go down next turn. There it goes. Here comes Dragalge, and it picks up the Toxic Spikes. And Metagross comes in. Metagross is almost a perfect counter to Dragalge. And at this point, I think this is when Decidueye came out, or maybe Dragalge stayed. Yeah, Dragalge stayed in and died to a Zen Headbutt. Yeah, I almost certainly would have swapped to either Decidueye, or maybe not, or Bronzong. Bronzong was probably going to die, but it was going to die no matter what, so a free switch would not have helped. Actually, getting the Bronzong sack in would have been a great thing to do. Bronzong only really helps you at this point against Sylveon, because you already got your Zen Headbutt in to kill Roserade. So yeah, I would have sacrificed Bronzong there if I had been Gogs. And that would have given you a little bit of extra on extra time. Or actually, not extra time, but extra health left over here after Metagross got through. But at this point, Mamoswine gets to come in and just clean everything up. So yeah, lessons from that battle: do not underestimate 4 times attack, 4 times super effective with something that has a high attack or special attack in what you're worried about. And yeah, screen's not the best for Togekiss. Drain Punch was an odd choice. I think those are the... Toxic Spikes, also an odd choice. Although Gogs did end up taking the bait and got its Dusclops poisoned with it. So maybe, again, not what I would have done, but apparently not the worst move in that situation. Alright, well that was the first battle. We got Gamer Magic picking up another win. Second battle, both teams are starting out the exact same. No changes Pokemon-wise, at least. Now again, we can't see from here if any of the stats have changed or any of the moves have changed. But same teams right now. Knowing what we know, I think Gamer Magic, knows that Gogs likes to start with Togekiss. So starting with Mamoswine is good. Metagross is also in theory good. Now Gogs, I would hope, would think here that maybe you need to switch something up, try something else out, or at least if you lead off with Togekiss, use Reflect instead of Light Screen. But we'll see what happens in our first watch through. Noise. Starts off similarly. Starts off exactly the same. Oh no, not upside. Reflected gets out and it wins the speed tie. Alright. And Bronzong comes out. Awesome. Alright. Gogs is starting off better. Gyro Ball. Oh, alright. Oh, not stopping here. Gyro Ball. Okay move. Not the best against Gamer Magic, because Gamer Magic doesn't have really fast things on their team. Now, they had Gyarados and Salamence in the last battle we looked at. But the Gyarados in particular wouldn't have cared about Gyro Ball. Alright, what do we got? We've got a Swords Dance Incineroar, which actually, I think Gamer Magic has talked to me about that again. I've coached both of these people a little bit. So that's a good move. Good switch to eat that Sludge Bomb. And, oh yeah, because Bronzong was already down, so it wouldn't have been able to take that Zen Headbutt. Here comes Quagsire, though. So Quagsire is... Okay, not running... Who has Gogs' leftovers here? Do any of them do? I don't know. Sylveon doing work. I'm surprised Quagsire didn't stay in, because that can tank a lot. Nightshade doing work. Now, it's not going to ever get a crit. So I think that, yeah, it has rest. And so here comes Sandaconda doing what it does well. I think if Gogs had stayed in the Quagsire earlier, it might have been able to start doing what it does to try to set the battle up well. But now Sandaconda is getting the chance to do that instead. Now let's see. Gogs still has Togekiss alive. About third health. Oh, it has Stone Edge, though. Yep, this is going to be... Oh, Stone Edge and not Earthquake. Interesting. Okay. Oh, that's... And also, Quagsire probably has Unaware. So all of that setup didn't help. But there's the battle. Okay. Let's go look at this in detail now. So as I mentioned right off the bat, we got a little bit different. Same start, but a little bit better with the speed tie here. Gets the Reflect. It gets both screens off, so it's actually a relatively good start for Gogs. Again, they don't have a team that really benefits from the screens, but they got what they wanted. And now Bronzong, great switch into Mamoswine, so they learned from the first battle. Unfortunately, get the attack drop, so Gyro Ball does basically nothing. Quagsire is a good switch for the Incineroar, but it does lose the there's the leftovers. Okay, got knocked off earlier. And unfortunate to not get the Aqua Tail. Now again, there's one thing. Quagsire probably could have stayed in. We already saw later in the battle that it has Recover. So Metagross comes in, Aqua Tail happens. This was an opportunity to use Recover. You've got screens up, you've got something that's relatively tanky. Use Recover and start preparing for, the earthquakes that you were hoping to have. Dusclops doesn't take a ton of damage, so again, not a bad move, but not the move that I would have done. And now the Reflect is gone. I would have expected a knockoff to come, but, I forgot that, the Swords Dance Incineroar is one of the sets that Gamer Magic likes to run, and that is a relatively good opportunity to do it. because Dusclops wasn't going to do a ton to Incineroar unless it kept using Nightshade. Because Incineroar does not have recovery here. Unless it has one of the HP recovering berries, but that's just a one-off. So Nightshade could still do a lot to Incineroar. And there comes Earthquake with a lot. Finally the knockoff comes out to do what it needs to do. And this one's... Yeah, that one was... Alright, so let's see, hang on. So Dragalge 205, Incineroar 240. I don't know exactly what Gamer Magic's speed stat was. If it was faster than 205, I would have used knockoff. But again, the move they did do still worked because they anticipated the Sludge Bomb even whether it was Sludge Bomb, which Metagross is immune to, or Dragon Pulse, which it resisted, still a relatively good switch. Again, I would have taken the opportunity to get a knockoff in because I think that might have killed. I'd have to double check. But Dragalge goes down next turn anyway. And here I think... Now, Bullet Punch. I don't quite get where that one came from. The Zen Headbutt. Much more likely to make the kill there. It's not like Quagsire is fast. So a little bit of a miss... And again, a little bit of misplay there from Gamer Magic, I thought. And there. That's also something, again, I mentioned that in the quick watch through. Not sure why that switch happened. I thought Quagsire was pretty bulky. Let me double check that though. Quagsire's stats. Sorry, I'm being slow here. Quagsire's... Where are they? Of course I went to Cerebi instead of Smogon, so I'm not sure. Oh, okay, so... Special defense, not great, but not awful. Just the fact that Quagsire has a ton of health meant it would have been okay taking that hit, I think. As long as it used Recover to just gauge whether it could stay in or not. But now we get Decidueye getting hit hard there. Spirit Checkle unfortunately doesn't get the kill because Sylveon also actually has some good bulk to it. Choice Specs you see, and here's where the setup happens that we were talking about earlier. Let's try to get through it here. With all the rest. So this is what Sandaconda does well. Unfortunately, Gogs doesn't have a lot to deal with it. But as I mentioned earlier, hopefully their Quagsire actually had Unaware, because that would have been an answer. And it had enough health that it could have taken a swat in. Now let's pause that. That's probably what scared Sandaconda back out. Now, Quagsire is running Aqua Tail instead of Scald, and we saw Aqua Tail earlier, so with all of the defense boosts that Sandaconda had, I think it would have been okay, because I think the Unaware only affects attacks that are coming in, not the attacks that you dish out. But you know what? Let me just double check that as well. I should stop talking about what I think and actually make sure I know what I'm saying here, shouldn't I? Where is Unaware? Oh, okay, no, it affects all of the foe's stats, so Aqua Tail still would have done a good amount. Okay. Cool. Alright, so yeah, that was a better swap than I thought it was. Nice work, Gamer Magic. And then so Giga Train comes back in, and we're still back on the really fast stuff. At this point, it's, Roserade, which is pretty quick. So at 306, look at that. There is nothing on Gog's teams that can outspeed Roserade. And Roserade isn't actually that fast of a Pokemon. Let me make sure I get this ready. Because Roserade's speed tier is 90. Okay, but usually when you're thinking about really nice speed tiers, you're looking at the hundreds and such. Because the top 300 speed Pokemon, that'll get you down. Well, okay, it gets you down into the 90s when you get. You're still in the top 300 with a 90 speed. I don't think you're in the top 200 though. So, top third, but not top fifth of speed for Roserade. Anyway, those are those battles, and again, just a couple of comments of looking for opportunities to use attacks and then picking which ones you do. And again, trying to get some of the good sets, like that Swords Dance and Incineroar are not necessarily one you see a lot, but is good for catching people off guard. And again, I think, picking when to use Knockoff versus Drain Punch, there were several opportunities to do more damage or get kills more quickly in that sense. As I mentioned earlier, this was one of the earlier battles of this season. I still have a lot to review, and I am excited to see how well Gogs in particular progressed through the tournament, because I do know for a fact, just watching the tournament chat, that there have been a lot of amazing battles this season. So we're actually getting close to the finals time right now, and I'm hoping that we get some really exciting stuff in the finals here with everyone involved. So yeah, that's what I've got for now. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all later. Bye.